Welcome, dear listeners, to a unique edition of our show. Tonight we're exploring the astrology of 2024 with theoretical physicist Michio Kaku. Thank you for being with us tonight, Michio.
Thanks for having me. I am excited to be here. I think you will find the astrology of 2024 quite thrilling.
Thrilling? As in exciting or hair-raising? What do you mean?
Well, the astrological year of 2024 starts off a bit rough.
Okay. How is that? How or when does it start?
Well, every astrological year starts at the vernal equinox, around March 20th, when night and day are equal in length. Equinox. This is the day the sun enters the tropical sign of Aries. The horoscope of that moment is used to forecast the year.
So, it is the birth chart of a new year?
Yes, just like that.
But what is rough about that chart?
Well, there are many great things about it, too. For instance, Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, which is great for sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But there is also a hangover waiting because she is applying to a conjunction with Saturn.
Wait a minute. Is Saturn the lord of hangovers?
Yes, that is not far off. Saturn is the planet of death, sickness, obstacles, things that are heavy and difficult, unemployment, isolation, depression, and so on.
So what happens when Venus joins Saturn?
That is a good question, Piers. Their combined energy and the potential it represents is active for an extended period, even though Venus is not at the same degree as Saturn. As long as they're in the same sign, it functions as a conjunction. And due to the importance of the moment of the vernal equinox, the energy of their conjunction is valid for an extended period, and not just in month of March or April, when Venus is with Saturn in Pisces.
So what does the combined energy of Venus and Saturn entails?
There are different possibilities here, but Saturn remains an obstacle, which the goodies of Venus will be confronted with, just like the hangovers after a little bit too much enjoyment. This could play out as a low after a high, like a downturn in the markets after a peak.
Wait a minute. Venus represents the markets? I thought she symbolized women and sex.
Yes, you are correct, Piers. She also represents food, candy, children, nurture, joy, success, money, productivity, factories, markets, all things which make society thrive and flourish.
So when she applies to Saturn, she is in trouble?
Yes, those things are threatened. But there is a catch in the interpretation here. Venus is exalted in Pisces, which means she is very powerful and will dominate all other planets there.
What do you mean? Is she a woke bitch?
No, not like that. But normally, Saturn is the most powerful planet among all, unless he is in an environment in which he has less power and meets someone who has more dignity or power, just like Venus in Pisces.
So is the woke bitch a good thing in this case?
Well, that is actually how she could turn out to be in relation to Saturn there. Saturn still represents some kind of trouble. This could be a rise in unemployment due to a recession, I don't know. But Venus is approaching. Remember, she represents nurture, success, money, and all the good stuff which makes the wheels of society run. So her arrival at Saturn could indicate a help being given, perhaps through fiscal stimuli, or some kind of Medicare being given to the wounds of a recession or the hardship people will experience during rising unemployment.
I see. That sounds pretty good, despite the potential for a recession.
Yes, Venus is pretty, but I should also mention the rough part.
Wait, so you mean the recession wasn't the rough part?
No, I am thinking of the location of Mars at the moment of the vernal equinox. It is at the natal moon of the U.S. The last time Mars was at this spot at the time of the vernal equinox was in 1945. A few months later, the U.S. dropped the atomic bombs over Japan.
Are you saying the U.S. will use nukes again?
I don't know. But Mars represents power, war, riots, sickness, and general misfortunes. And so when Mars aligns with the moon of the U.S. at such a crucial time, it does indicate some kind of noticeable demonstration of force or a hard hit to the cities of the U.S. because the moon represents the assembly of people in cities and Mars is all that bad stuff. You know, so this alignment could signal a period of intense political and military action for the United States, possibly on a global scale.
Well, I begin to like that woke bitch of Venus a bit more now.
Yes, and America is her greatest fan. You see it in the flag. All the 5-pointed stars. That is the power and grace of Venus.
Okay. I am not sure I believe in all this astrology woo-woo.
I understand it is good to be skeptical, but keep an open mind and test the theories before discarding them.
Well, yes, that sounds like a reasonable approach. Interesting. Let us move on to the next one you have for us. Let's see. The total solar eclipse on April 8th across the US continent. Tell us, why is this significant?
Solar eclipses have always been viewed as cosmic signals for change, often drastic. When it crosses a powerful nation like the U.S., it symbolizes potential upheaval, political disturbance, or significant shifts in leadership. It's a celestial wild card.
A wild card? That sounds unsettling.
Indeed, eclipses have historically aligned with major world events. The last one we had occurred at the ascendant of Israel. And we all know how that went. This one will not disappoint either. Expect unexpected shifts and possibly some national soul searching.
Could that be relevant to the presidential election? What do you think will happen?
I don't know what will happen. But as I said, the eclipses are wild cards. And the fact that it crosses the U.S. continent at a time when the political divide is heightened does suggest that the fate of the nation is about to take a dramatic turn.
Could it be a turn for the better?
Well, who knows? But remember the indication of Mars on the moon of the U.S. I expect to see riots and fire in the cities. Consider Mars as a red demon roaming the cities of the U.S., making a lot of havoc. That is all I will say.
Okay, not sure I wish to go on, but let's talk about Jupiter joining Uranus in Taurus. What can you tell us about that one?
This conjunction is a rare event. Last time these two met in Taurus was in 1940-41, when the war in Europe turned into a world war. The time before that was in 1857-58, when there was a panic run on the banks and the worst economic crisis in the U.S. history in the following years.
History doesn't repeat itself, though.
True, it doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes.
I am beginning to regret I invited you here, sir.
I understand that, but please don't kill the messenger.
Okay. What is next on your astrological menu?
Post-presidential election, Mars stands still in Leo, the sign of kings or leaders. This could indicate a period of heightened political drama because Mars is very intense and fiery when it is stationary like that. Perhaps controversies related to leadership or conflict in relation to it will ensue.
Could it affect the election?
It might not directly affect the election's outcome, but the aftermath could be turbulent. As Mars retrogrades into Cancer again, the sign of the moon, the people or city, it might manifest as public unrest, protests, or clashes over leadership decisions.
I can see how this could turn sour. At the moment, Trump is leading comfortable against Biden and all else. Imagine he fails to win again, what kind of uproar that would cause. They would surely think the election has been stolen again. What happens then?
Yes, that could turn a bit wild. It will definitely be an interesting and fateful year in relation to the spectacular eclipse also.
Do you have any other messages before we let you go?
Yes, I'd like to mention the last eclipse we had in October. It was in tight aspect to a debilitated Jupiter of China and right on the debilitated Mars of Taiwan. So I do expect tensions between these two reaching new levels in the new year.
China will invade Taiwan, you say?
I don't know. I am not psychic, but it is definitely a possible outcome due to that eclipse activating these problematic planets of both countries.
Okay, we will see. Thank you, Michio, for this profound and slightly unnerving insight into 2024. We are now prepped for a shit show of epic proportions. Thanks a lot.
Anytime, Piers.